So what sort of operating model changes are you guys seeing from Sean, from the firms you're talking to, and Nitesh from the inside from, Bank of New York? What are you looking at in terms of big operating model changes, or maybe you're not, to try and make sea changes that will make the process better for you and your clients, and ultimately eke out efficiencies, capacity improvements, risk reductions, all of the above? What are you seeing in terms of operating model changes, and how is tech driving that?
There's probably three categories of changes going on right now that we spend a lot of time with. One of them is sort of enterprise platform integrations. So what I mean by that is there's sort of two schools of thought on how you might approach building your app model. One of them is a single ecosystem to solve everything on one end of the spectrum. That's enterprise solution. The other is what might be called best of breed, which is I just want to find the best tech for every nuanced type of thing I do that maximizes how I do that. And there is a re-examination of that generally happening, again, because the capabilities are evolving so much. But also the enterprise one is getting more attention, because even when you had an interest in doing everything in one place, technology typically couldn't satisfy that. And a good example is public and private assets in under one roof. And so that bridge is now becoming shorter and shorter, and there's firms that are pursuing, hey, can I do that? Because they may be in an organization where they've started to explore bringing those assets together, or have gone more into private assets of their public firm, or vice versa. And there's probably value to go and gain from being in one place for that. So those two things, sort of platform consolidation, and then public and private, just generally speaking from an op model standpoint, has a lot of attention. The third one is more around sort of site strategy and global optimization, and how tech can help them think about doing that in a bit more of an efficient way than maybe they have in the past. And a lot like we were talking about earlier, with sort of opportunities with tools that might break down more challenging communication dynamics. Tech in general, transparency, data, single source of it, having a standard model across the globe gives organizations a bit more sort of confidence that they can, you could manage your function across the globe from where you are, because you have line of sight into the places that are daytime when you're asleep and nighttime when you're awake, and like the things that create real friction in a global op model are now having more solutions presented that might do this a little bit better. And so that's probably where we see most of the trends, other than this sort of evergreen op model stuff. All tech enabled. They're opening the doors to say, let's revisit this now because it's possible.
From our standpoint, like I mentioned, we're building this new information architecture, right, which really helps us to simplify the data models within Bank of New York, right? And whilst we do that, we spoke about like swivel chair risk clients needing to log into multiple portals. The same is happening with us as well, and I'm sure with a lot of us in the room. So we're building like a single exceptions portal, right, which kind of empowers our teams to understand all exceptions along with analytics across the lifecycle of trade. And whilst we do that, we've already kind of aligned our teams to be functionally aligned, at the same time have custody service experts across trades, cash, corporate actions, right, to really help the clients. But again, while all of this is there, coming back to the point, right, I would not be able to drive value-add services like managing exceptions on behalf of our clients with our brokers. I won't be able to do that until I create capacity, right? And that capacity will come when I start surfacing data for clients to kind of manage a lot of their operational processes. So I see that you would kind of see a lot of order management integrations happening in the next 12 to 18 months from our side, especially with T+1 around the corner. And we would want to kind of leverage yourselves to kind of even take it end to end. For example, I saw some of our sub-custodian colleagues over here in the room. So we've kind of working with them to kind of look at integrating mutually visible data sets. So it's not just that I send my instruction to a custodian and I'm done with it, but how do I start getting transparency by looking at, okay, has it failed at the custodian? Who's at fault? Is it me or them? How do I manage a proactive process, right, across the life cycle, and not just that I'll send the instruction out and I'm done with it, right? That would be value. And kind of providing the transparency back to the client is where the value add will lie.
So you both touched on, so that's what I call like standardization of data, but also standardization of processing. But it sounds like what you're also talking about is like, how do you manage your workforce more effectively? So creating standardized operating processes, creating like the ability for work to be passed around the different teams and different time zones, right? So you almost like create a synchronous, continuous working day almost through the different time zones. Particularly helpful if you're in Asia and trying to sort of settle a trade on T1 with a US broker.
Yeah, I mean, the more you can understand what's happening, the more confidence you'll have in how to set up your organization. So take Taskize, for example. There's the communication part of it, but you're also generating data that can be used.
Yep.
You now know what people are spending their time doing, where, what types of exceptions, with whom, how long do they take to resolve. That is golden, right?
Yeah.
If you're in a leadership role, this is the type of data that you need to make decisions to say, I need more people there, I need less people here, I want to redesign that process, we need to go and talk to that broker, right? Now you have more data to work off of to make informed decisions and less reliance on the qualitative component of, flying into your Hong Kong office and saying, guys, so like how are things going and who are your problem, what are your problem processes and all this kind of stuff. It's just there, you see it. And so getting away from email helps structure that kind of visibility a bit more. And people are trying to solve for the single data stuff, right? Like Aladdin and Charles River, well, State Street's Alpha, but Aladdin, they're all solving for this like single source provider model, right? How do we just not generate two instances of the same information that just creates back and forth? And bar having that, you need other solutions like this or something else that help you get to source quickly and have transparency and visibility.
Yeah, I mean, to use a medical analogy, it's a little bit like an angiogram where, I don't know if people, you put the iodine through your body and the doctors see where it goes through and where it gets blocked and stuff, right? That's what is useful, right? If you can get data that pinpoints, like Joe sat on this for like 3 hours, and he needed to pass it to Johnny over here, right? That process is connected, but it became broken because of the process, to your point, was not well designed, right? That is useful.